Hey guys, my name's Matusiak and welcome to my art video. I'm doing this with them the weekend it's due. Let's get started. The first artist we'll be looking at is Magdalena Abakanowicz, born on June 20th, 1930. She is from Poland, Europe, and was most notable for being a Polish sculptor and a fiber artist. She used lots of textiles as a sculptural medium. She's one of Poland's most internationally acclaimed artists. She was a professor at the Academy of Fine Arts in Poland from 1965 to 1990 and a visiting professor at UCLA in 1984. Some of her other pieces include Embryology from 1978 to 1980, which consists of 200 pieces of canvas, rope, sisal, nylon, and metal frames. Plessy/Backs from 1967 to 1980, full of organic material. A series called War Games. This in particular is a tree trunk with metal on the bottom. She also made outdoor monuments such as Bambini Installation and King Arthur's Knights. She also took photos as well. The main piece we'll be looking at today by Magdalena Abakanowicz is Androgyne III. Made in 1985, this piece is made of burlap, resin, wood, nails, and string. It now holds place in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. What's the content, you may ask? Well, it's a human on a short wooden stretcher which acts as a substitute for his or her legs. It is hollowed out by a shell of wrinkled human skin made from plaster. Magdalena wants viewers to focus on the figure of a human rather than a man or a woman and allow for multiple interpretations, like humanity of the figures rather than their gender. Another popular interpretation is that this piece expresses dehumanization in the 20th century. It's an expression of suffering, both mournful and disturbing. It alludes to the brutality of war and the totalitarian state. It is a reflection of the time she spent helping in the hospital during World War II and her memories of the attack on her mother. Although the sculpture isn't utilitarian, it is purposeful. She used it to show as an example of war, like the body is a husk without arms, legs, or a head. It's an expression of suffering that she had to go through, along with many others. She created it to show the public the horrors of war and the state of the country she once lived in. After a drunken soldier burst into her house and, in Magdalena's presence, shot off her mother's arm, Abakanowicz worked as a nursing assistant in a makeshift hospital caring for the wounded while also finishing her high school education. After that, she visited laboratories to learn more about dissection and the construction of the human body. Originally placed in the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts in Richmond, it later got moved to the Milwaukee Art Museum in 1988. It was placed in these two popular places to show the public what effects the horror of war had on people. As stated before, the material of this is burlap, resin, wood, nails, and string. As a child, Magdalena often played in a nearby forest, an experience that later influenced the materials she used in her work. In the 70s, Abakanowicz started using other materials, including burlap, string, and cotton gauze. The surface of each figure she produces has an individual feel to it, since she handled each one very particularly. A feature of Androgyne III is all of the burlap cast, which results in wrinkled skin and backbones, muscles, and veins. The bodies are intended to be seen in the round, as a hollow interior is just as much part of the piece as a molded exterior. With a large hunched back and small skinny legs, no head, and arms tucked and larger, it is idealistic to show the reality side of war. It is an expressive piece that is abstract and has attributes of war and personal experiences that tell you who it is. The formal elements consist of browns and beiges as the color. It's a sculpture, so it doesn't require so much light. It has no lines. The shape is a molded torso shell, hollow to be seen in the round, and the hollow interior is very crucial to the piece. Its texture is raw and unoriginal, and the space in this piece is just as significant as the mass of the two works. The next piece we will be talking about is called Female Deity, a wooden sculpture made in the 18th and 19th century by an unknown artist. We do, however, know that it belonged to Nukuaro, an island located within the Caroline Islands. The subject matter of this piece is the wood figurine itself. This is called a Tino Aitu. The sacrifices to this figurine occurred each year during the harvest of coconuts, arrowroot, taro, banana, sugarcane, breadfruit, and pandanus. Lack of facial detail and the flexed legs provide a blank canvas, ready to take on the deity's vital force during each festival when the sacrifices were made. Nails were attached to the figures, which allowed for clothing to be added when they took the deity's identities to the festivals. The triangular shape of the pelvis indicates a mandatory tattoo there called the temata for elite women. The story behind this figure is very simple. Each of the figurines bore the name of a specific male or female deity, which was associated with a particular extended family group, a priest, or a specific temple. The significance is that a Tino Aitu, or the specific piece of wood, occupied a central place in an important religious ceremony that took place towards the month of Matariki, when the Pleiades are visible in the west at dusk. What are Pleiades? Well, it's a cluster of stars that is very significant to the specific culture. The function of this piece is for religious purposes and used for a specific annual harvest ritual. They created it so that the people believed that the spirit of the deity resided inside of the wooden figurine for the duration of the festival. It is contextually significant as well. Nuku'aro's culture retains Polynesian influences, such as social structures and the practice of carving human figures like this one, even though it is geographically located in Micronesia. Most of their distinctive wooden figures have been traded off through the years. These smaller deities were worshipped all along with a primary figure, which was likely offered human sacrifices annually. There is no patron to this, but it is associated with a particular extended family group, a priest, and a specific temple. It's connected to the content because it symbolized ancestors, and nails are added to this festival's clothing. It belongs in the British Museum, which acquired it in 1944. It's public to the community of where it belonged because, according to the purpose, they were placed in temples and decorated with loom-woven bands, fine mats, feathers, paint, or headdresses. To be a safe space for the deity was respected and remained rested alone by itself. The materials could last for several weeks in order to survive the festival. This material, you may ask? Wood. It was made from a breadfruit tree, to be specific. The figures had olive ovoid heads, discrete or missing facial features, unusual buttocks, and flexed legs. The rituals marked the beginning of the harvesting of two kinds of taro: breadfruit, arrowroot, banana, sugarcane, pandanus, and coconuts. It lasted a while, so that during the festivals, which could last several weeks, the harvested fruits and food offerings were brought to the wooden sculptures. Male and female dances were performed, such as these. Not only were dances performed, but women were also tattooed. Plus, any weathered and rotten statues were also replaced during the ceremony. This specific female deity is 40.2 centimeters high. The proportions are similar throughout all of the statues. An ovoid head tapering slightly at the chin and a columnar neck. The eyes and nose are either discreetly shown as slits or not at all. The shoulders slope downwards and the chest is indicated by a simple line. Some female figures have breasts. Some of the sculptures, be they male, female, or an undetermined sex, have a sketchy indication of hands or feet. The buttocks is always flattened in a flexed pair of legs. It is idealistic, expressive, formal for its culture, but it is not abstract. It's attributed towards ceremonies that are held by the community. This sculpture in particular has a brown color. It has no light or line, and the shape is the same as the proportions. The sculptures were found coarse and clumsy, and the surfaces were smooth with pumice, which was abundantly available on the beach. It is a 3D sculpture and symmetrical.